Hello and welcome to France 2022, The Choice. It is our daily show covering the presidential elections. And we only have 3 days to go before the final verdict. Yesterday was the highlight of the campaign, the traditional debate between the two finalists. And with 48 hours to go, both Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen rushed back to the campaign trail. Here's the recap of the day with Shirley Sitbon.
It's the story of a president candidate who is more optimistic than ever. The day after the presidential debate, Emmanuel Macron paid a visit to one of France's poorest areas, Seine-Saint-Denis. Most residents voted in the first round for leftist candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon. Macron promised to rebuild and renovate housing like theirs if he's re-elected.
Il n'y a pas de fatalité. Dans ce département, on fait les plus grandes opérations urbaines et de création de logements de France, grâce aux Jeux Olympiques. Et ce que nous avons su faire pour les Jeux Olympiques, pourquoi on ne le ferait pas pour lutter contre la pauvreté, l'habitat indigne et les inégalités?
Marine Le Pen traveled north, where she met with truck drivers irritated by rising fuel prices. This being one of her strongholds, she got some soothing support after the debate, which a majority of people say she lost.
J'ai pu remplir une mission importante que je m'étais fixée. D'abord, révéler aux Français la vérité du bilan d'Emmanuel Macron et deuxièmement, présenter le projet qui était le mien.
Appearing sensible was tough, though, when presenting some of her measures.
Il faut faire reculer les islamistes et pour cela, je le crois, il faut interdire le voile dans l'espace public.
Vous allez créer la guerre civile si vous faites ça. Je vous le dis en toute sincérité. Parce que ça veut dire que vous vous attaquez...
C'est très grave ce que vous dites là, monsieur.
C'est très grave parce que ce que vous proposez
est très grave. Parce que ce que vous dites, c'est qu'en réalité, les gens n'accepteraient pas de se soumettre à la loi.
Ce que vous dites est très grave.
Macron hit out at Le Pen for getting a loan for her party from a Russian bank, saying she's owned by Vladimir Putin.
Vous ne parlez pas à d'autres dirigeants, vous parlez à votre banquier quand vous parlez de la Russie. C'est ça le problème, Madame Le Pen.
Je suis une femme absolument et totalement libre.
To woo young voters, both candidates accused each other of being bad on the environment.
Vous êtes climato-sceptique.
En aucun cas, mais vous êtes un peu climato-hypocrite.
Not too convincing for Alexis Corbière, an MP from Mélenchon's party.
Bon, on avait à la fois un président dans toute son arrogance sociale, qui n'a jamais été contestée finalement réellement et sérieusement par Marine Le Pen. Sur la retraite, on comprenait rien, lui veut l'allonger et elle finalement ne veut pas la réduire. L'interdiction d'une religion qu'elle propose et cette situation évidemment de tension intolérable que tout esprit républicain attaché au minimum de liberté publique peut pas accepter.
France's unbowed party already preparing for the next episode, the legislative elections, where they hope to win big and oppose the president. Who that is, we'll know in 48 hours. But that's a story for next time, when we meet again from another campaign trail.
À voter.
OK, well, let's take a look and see what the pollsters are telling us, Mark.
Yes, it's a poll taken by our partner Ipsos Sopra Steria after yesterday night's debate, and it shows Emmanuel Macron 57.5% versus Marine Le Pen 42.5%, a 15-point lead for the incumbent. Just a reminder, after round one 10 days ago, it was 53 versus 47%. So clearly, Emmanuel Macron has taken a sizable lead before round two on Sunday. He will probably not reach the figures of 2017 when he garnered 66% of the votes. And we're now joined on the set by France 24, Angela Diffley, our campaign commentator. Hello, Angela.
Hi, Mark.
So you obviously watched this debate, 2 hours and 50 minutes, if I'm not wrong. Can we say that Emmanuel Macron won that debate?
I think the polls, as you said, do suggest that he did. He is a brilliant debater. He has an extremely strong grasp of facts and figures and issues and is pretty unmatched, a very, very hard person to debate with. He chose, rather than defending his own record, to attack her programme, and he scored points by trying to expose what he deemed were flaws or contradictions within her programme, notably on the European Union, on the economy, also on the hijab later on in the programme, and on various other issues, again on energy. He also managed to expose some contradictions. So he was very strong on this attack. The downside of that was that he sometimes came across as rather condescending and rather lecturing. And that's, of course, something he's accused of being patronising and arrogant. The body language was very, very interesting to watch, and a lot of people have commented on it today. He started off looking as though he was listening very intently, and very quickly you had the impression that in his head he was saying, I've got this, I'm winning. And he leaned back in his chair, he folded his arms and gave the impression to many people of being a little bit arrogant. So that, the body language didn't work. I suspect there will be a gender divide on this. I think some women might have detected a little bit of mansplaining here and there. That's not going to go down well. And also he needed to incite people to like him enough to go out and vote for him, not just to be impressed with him in a debate. So that could be a problem. As for her, she didn't match him on figures and issues. Her examples were much more anecdotal, but oddly for someone that Macron is saying the voters should be afraid of, she came across as a much more human person, someone who was much closer to the people. She did score a few points. The hijab discussion, she really struggled, but that was late at night. And I think in the end it will come down to, do people want a president who might be arrogant but is very competent, or a woman with flaws and all, but might be less presidential?
OK, so one of the things that we've heard in the last 24 hours or so is a number of European leaders expressing support for the incumbent, Emmanuel Macron. Is that much of a blow to Marine Le Pen, do you think?
Very debatable. It reminds me very much of when Barack Obama intervened in the Brexit debate in Britain, to everybody's annoyance. He said that Britain would have problems with trade with America if it left the European Union. Number one, a lot of people thought, you're American, can you keep your opinions to yourself? Number two, very many people in Britain thought that he had actually been set up and that his remarks were scripted because he used a British English word rather than an American English word. So either way, it was not widely appreciated and clearly wasn't heeded. So this intervention might remind people a little bit of that. Also, when academia, when all of the elite academia, much of the media, foreign leaders, all the establishment are in unison on something, it doesn't always deliver the result that they expect. And that might be something that Le Pen is comfortably thinking.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed for that. Angela Diffley, our campaign commentator. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we're now into the last stretch of the campaign, which officially ends on Friday at midnight Paris time. And Marine Le Pen has spent today in the northern region of Pas-de-Calais. Mark, tell us more.
Yes, she just held, it ended a few minutes ago, her last campaign rally in Arras, and our Florence Villemino was there with her, listened to what she had to say. And Marine Le Pen told her supporters tonight that basically the people of France need to rise up, and she said Sunday's choice was very simple. It's Macron or it's France.
Absolutely. She was very combative in that speech that ended about a half an hour ago, but you might be able to see it. Marine Le Pen is still here. She's still milking the crowd, perhaps to show that she's really close to the French people. And that's certainly something that she made sure to come across in her speech. She started out by lashing out against President Emmanuel Macron and how arrogant and condescending he was. Those are her words in the debate last night. He doesn't like French people. All he has is contempt for them. I'm tired of his disrespect, she said. I will be the president of respect. Now, she said that Macron is disconnected. He's elitist. She lashed out against his catastrophic record as president. Our project is the total opposite, said Marine Le Pen. She went on to outline some of the key points in her program, points that she outlined in the debate yesterday, things on immigration, on security, but especially on purchasing power. She vowed to bring life back to smaller villages. And this is a message that resonates with a lot of people here in the north of France, particularly in this region, Hauts-de-France, where we are right now, one of the poorest regions in France. Now, this is home turf for Marine Le Pen. It's where she started her political career in the late 90s. In 2017, she was elected MP. She's about 25 kilometers from here in Inamp-Beaumont. So she is really on home turf here for this final rally before the home stretch. It's now or never for Marine Le Pen, who has said this will be her last run as president.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for bringing us all the latest from the north of France. Florence Vimino, thank you so much. Well, in the meantime, the incumbent Emmanuel Macron headed to the working class and multicultural Paris suburb of Saint-Denis today, Mark.
Yes, absolutely. It's an interesting choice, as you may know now from watching this show in France 24 regularly. The radical left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon scored 22% nationally, but in Saint-Denis, he scored 61%. And so it's certainly not by accident that Emmanuel Macron chose to go there, because obviously he's eager to make sure that the Mélenchon voters might vote for him. Julia Kim was on hand with the incumbent.
Emmanuel Macron making a stop in Saint-Denis, one of the poorest suburbs in France, where around 1 in 3 people live below the poverty line. Now, it's here where Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the far-left leader, won over 60% of the vote in the first round of the presidential election. That's compared to Emmanuel Macron's 16%. Now, Saint-Denis also had one of the highest abstention rates in the country, 33% of voters choosing to stay home in the first round. So Emmanuel Macron was out trying to convince those voters to vote for him this Sunday. Now, he brought with him a message to these voters. 1 in 5 people in Saint-Denis are immigrants, and he told them that abstaining or voting for Le Pen would mean voting for policies that would seek to divide France along religious and racial lines. But residents here told us that this is already the case.
La communauté musulmane en France, elle est fatiguée d'être à chaque fois stigmatisée, montrée du doigt. C'est vraiment dommage parce que, honnêtement, bien sûr, il y a toujours des cas spéciaux, mais en tout cas, la plus grande majorité des musulmans en France, elle va au travail, elle va à l'école, elle essaie de s'engager le maximum qu'elle peut. Et c'est vrai, pendant ce quinquennat aussi, il y a eu un petit peu de stigmatisation de la part de certains ministres, notamment le ministre de l'Intérieur.
Now, other residents told Emmanuel Macron to his face that they are living in misery. And in response, he's told them that he will reinvest heavily in Saint-Denis. He's going to launch a project called Banlieue 2030, or the Suburbs 2030, where he'll invest in security, in housing, in education, and in sport. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not this will be enough to sway voters. They say that with 3 days to go until the final round of the presidential election, this visit comes a little bit too little, too late. Still others, though, say that they will vote for him in order to block the far-right Marine Le Pen from coming into power.
France 24's Julia Kim reporting there. So the big question for Sunday's vote is, what will the undecided supporters of Jean-Luc Mélenchon do? France 24's Yinka Oyedade explains.
During the first round of French presidential elections, radical left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon dominated votes in the east of Paris. With his name now off the ballot for the second round, many voters here say they'll be abstaining from Sunday's elections. This maths PhD student says he no longer feels represented.
The choice to abstain is not an easy one for me. I absolutely do not want to vote for Marine Le Pen. I think she is much more dangerous than Emmanuel Macron. What I would like is for Macron to be re-elected, but with a strong abstention, so that we can send a warning signal that shows that the current democratic system does not work anymore.
Faced with another choice between Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen, this comedian says he'll be abstaining, just like he did 5 years ago.
I'm relying on others. Go vote, but I won't. It's too much for me. I'm tired of strategic voting. I prefer to abstain than to vote strategically. The problem is that if Marine Le Pen wins by just one vote, then it will be my fault.
With the prospect of a far-right president possibly on the horizon for France, even Macron's fiercest opponents say they'll vote for him, like this French tax activist.
Before the first round, I told myself if it's Macron versus Le Pen, I'm not voting. I'm sick of it. But afterwards, the bitterness slowly goes away, and now personally, I think I'll vote for Emmanuel Macron because I can't support the extreme right in power. It would be mortifying.
Whether they choose to vote or abstain, swaying Jean-Luc Mélenchon supporters could help determine Sunday's election outcome.
Okay, well, let's end on a lighter note, shall we, Mark?
On a flashback, let's take a look at the best moments of this campaign.
Reculez, attention derrière, reculez s'il vous plaît. Vous êtes en train de cette campagne.
Some of the lighter moments of the campaign. It is our last show tonight, and I'd like to thank those who participated. Angela, of course. Thank you to Maya Anaïs yet again, and thank you to Shirley Sitbon and to Lise Barcellini, and thank you all for being faithful and watching it.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. And do join us on Sunday as results come in. We'll have special coverage starting 1900 hours Paris time. Stay tuned.